Sean Levine will step into the cage with Brendan Tobin in Are You Gonna Fight Me?
I'm gonna fight your ass!
Here on Tapped Out.
That's right, fight me like a man!
Only on the BetQL network.
You know the rules. I want a good, clean fight. When I tell you to break, I want you to step back up my command and break. Now go back to the corner and come out fighting at the bell.
Welcome back into the show. Good Saturday evening. Appreciate you checking us out wherever you are on the BetQL network. Well, we used to be friends, but now we're foes. It's time for a couple of guys on the radio to fight each other. Segment's called You're Gonna Fight Me. BT, earlier in the show, we had on Jim Rodriguez. We were talking a little bit of boxing, and he mentioned the importance of Jake Paul. You're gonna fight me if I say, over the last 5 or 6 years, I think Jake Paul's had a bigger impact on boxing than any other human being. You might not like him, but his impact has been huge.
What's his impact been?
People are watching. People are talking about it. Even when he's in a fight versus a 5'6" basketball player, Nate Robinson, that retired a few years ago, it still gets at least some sort of eyeballs and people talking about it at the water cooler. The Mike Tyson conversation has become big. His fights versus old UFC fighters. And it just gets people talking about boxing again. Honestly, we started this show about 3 years ago, and Jake Paul had already kind of came into the pantheon of boxing and all that. But I think that since the time we've been doing the show, boxing it's kind of come back.
Yeah, I don't think he's had a lot to do with that.
Really?
I think that's had more to do with young guys fighting each other. I give the credit to Tyson Fury, Deontay Wilder fighting each other, Ryan Garcia, Gervonta Davis, Canelo Alvarez becoming undisputed champion.
This is where I fight you, though, bro. Canelo's been here before Jake Paul got here. Same thing with Tyson Fury, and that's when boxing was dying. That's when people were like, "All right, there's nobody that I really want to watch."
Well, that's not
fight.
true. No. Hold on. That's where when Vladimir Klitschko had the heavyweight championship, that's when the heavyweight division was dead and boring. When Tyson Fury becomes when he gets the belt back in his second reign after beating Klitschko, then all of a sudden we have the Undertaker memes of Deontay Wilder knocking him out, him coming back, then their rematch. You have, young guys, this hot 135 division with some of the best talent that we've ever seen. I get it. There's been people who have been trying to take the throne from Floyd Mayweather. I haven't necessarily done it, but dude, Jake Paul, I'm not a Jake Paul hater. I'm really not, but I think he is what he is. He does freak show stuff. It's for the Jake Paul stuff. We already know he can't box. He lost a decision to Tommy Fury. Then he was fighting in Orlando against dudes with non-impressive records because he says he's going to go and fight for the title. Nobody watched or cared about them. Can you name those opponents that he knocked out in the first round? Of course you can't. Why? Because you don't care if Jake Paul can really box or not. The whole thing is to do with Jake Paul caring about Jake Paul. I've said this a long time. Honestly, if he wanted more credit as a fighter, he should have gone to PFL and fought in the PFL. He wants to be a tough guy. The only thing I'll give him a little bit of credit for is, taking Amanda Serrano under his wing and giving her a big platform and doing good for fighter pay and challenging Dana White. I'll give you some credit. He's done some good things, but as far as the rise of boxing, his interest, nah, I'm not there with you, dude.
I feel like your points are all about how good of a boxer Jake Paul is. And I'm not saying Jake Paul's a good boxer. I'm just saying that he's been unbelievably important to the sport. Again, because it's not really about sometimes winning or losing or even being great at what you do. George Masvidal is your favorite UFC fighter of all time. His record's not that great, but we were always watching him fight. He was selling out arenas. Eyeballs were on him. So I think that Jake Paul deserves dude, they're about to fight. The rematch is set for November 15th versus Mike Tyson.
But Sean, that's because of Tyson. That's because of Tyson, not Jake. Honestly, here's the truth of it. Mike Tyson could go fight. He could go fight an ostrich, and it'll get 1 million pay-per-view buys. And Jake Paul could, and it wouldn't. There's numbers and metrics to this. You're talking about the greatest pay-per-view star we've ever had in Mike Tyson, the biggest boxing card that Jake Paul's ever been on. He was on his undercard boxing a slam dunk champion. That's Mike Tyson. That's not Jake Paul.
All right, I'll give you a 10-9. I'll give you a 10-9. Brendan Tobin, Sports Machine, Sean Levine, fighting it out here on the BetQL network. Fury and Usyk are going to have a rematch. You're going to fight me if I say this time Usyk knocks him out. Honestly, he was probably about to knock him out if the ropes didn't save him in the first fight.
I think that's probably true. That Tyson Fury would have been, if it wasn't for those damn ropes, he would have been curtains. He would have been curtains, and I think that referee saved his Gypsy King butt.
Nobody knows how to use those ropes better than Tyson Fury, because it's not like he got knocked against the ropes on one side of the ring. He got knocked against the ropes on all the sides of the rings. Like, that was incredible. Actually, both on Usyk's part for continuing the barrage and putting it on him, but also for Tyson Fury for not really going down on his ass, for being able to stay up. Yeah, I think if we see the rematch, we saw at the end of that, not the end actually, because Fury actually looked pretty good at the end. But in those middle to late rounds, BT, it looked like I should say Usyk really figured something out. It was Fury early. It was Usyk in the middle. Fury was pretty good toward the end. What do you think the odds would look like in that fight? Something tells me Usyk's like a minus 225.
Man, I think that people got a lot of worry around Tyson Fury right now. You know, the guy has had some struggles outside the ring. He's retired, unretired. He's dealt with some mental health issues. Now he's taken some pretty physical beatings, dude. I mean, yes, he won the Deontay Wilder rivalry, but he took a lot of big shots. He got knocked down very viciously by Francis Ngannou. That's not fun. They pushed his fight back. It hurt his jaw. Now he gets absolutely clubbed by Alexander Usyk. I mean, look, even at 6'9", being 3, whatever the hell he is, you know, on weight, or 270, whatever the hell he is on weight, you know, your head can only take so many shots. And I do think that there's a little bit of a worry that Tyson Fury is maybe just hitting the end of that road when it comes to this stuff, that he's just been hit too many times.
He got hit a lot of times in that barrage that I'm talking about. It's not like Usyk just hit him once. That's the type where you get a little bit concerned. You're like, that round, right? That 20 seconds of boxing, that is not good for a guy like Tyson Fury this late in his career. And I remember we had questions going into it, coming off the Ngannou fight, right? Is this guy still in his prime? Was he just out of shape? And then early on the fight, like I was referring to, he looked pretty good. I'm with you, man. I've got my questions about Fury. You mentioned Deontay Wilder, and he got his ass knocked out last week also, actually, when we were on the air. You're going to fight me if I say it's clearly time for the Bronze Bomber to hang him up.
No, I'm not going to fight you. First of all, I mean, he's sneaky old. You know, he's pushing 40. And
is he really? Looks great.
Yeah. He does look great. No, he physically looks great, but this is another man who, you know, he's taken a lot of big shots. I mean, the only thing that's really out there that he never did was fight Anthony Joshua. And I think if you were to talk about where those two guys are right now in their career, I think that'd be a vicious night at the office for Deontay Wilder. Yeah, it's time. He's gonna be remembered, I think, as, you know, a one-trick pony. But man, that trick was really, really entertaining. People will always say, hey, he didn't have the boxing skill, but guy held a piece of the heavyweight title for a very long time. He had some vicious knockouts. His wins over Luis Ortiz were very, very impressive, because Luis Ortiz was no joke. So he's always going to have my respect, but I do agree. I think that it's time for him to hang them up and go into whatever and I honestly think he could be tremendous in broadcasting if he wanted to be. I think he's a great personality. So I think there's a place for him in the sport. I just don't think it should be in the ring anymore.
Great highlight package. Tons of knockouts, obviously, in his career. But yeah, the Bronze Bomber's best days are clearly behind him. Speaking of boxing, we're going to see Nate Diaz and Jorge Masvidal, and their dudes got into it, their crews, outside after the press conference. Now that I've seen those guys kind of go back and forth in the hallways and their teams fighting, I want to see that fight in the UFC again. You going to fight me?
No, I'm not going to fight you. I would prefer it if it was in the UFC. I don't really understand why. I don't really understand why this isn't a boxing match. I find that strange, especially with Masvidal basically saying that he has a wink deal that I guess he's getting a big up front. I guess that's the answer. He must be getting a ton of money for this fight up front to do this fight.
Boxing match either. Something tells me this is the one. And I've been waiting for Yeah, I've been waiting for an MMA guy in one of these crossovers just to I was waiting on Ben Askren to try to choke out Jake Paul or whatever. It didn't happen too often. Conor McGregor in the Mayweather fight a couple of times, he kind of wanted to. This is the one, though. There's no way this one stays a boxing match.
Well, the other thing that was weird about it, first of all, it's already been pushed back once because I think it was the same night as 302. It was supposed to be that night.
Yeah.
And so they pushed it back. They didn't want to compete. They did 3 press tour cities. They did Miami, LA, and New York. And do you remember anything that came out of those? Nothing. So they did this the right way. People always say, hey, are brawls, are they real? I don't know. Who knows? But it is good for business. It does draw eyeballs. Now people are wondering, oh yeah, they are fighting. So I guess that's great for attention. It definitely will bring more eyeballs to their fight, but I'm not against it. No, I definitely agree with you. I would rather see that fight in the UFC than in boxing.
That brawl was real. That was ask the guy in the dreadlocks with the black eye. That brawl was 100. And those things Masvidal's in the middle of it.
Listen, he's not one to be trifled with, dude. He's from the streets of Miami. Him and Nate Diaz are real ones.
What are you people about Miami?
It's a sunny place for shady people.
You live there. J-Rod lives there. Colby lives there. Masvidal. It may starting to make a lot of sense to me, actually. You're going to fight me here on the BetQL network. Sean Strickland was in a fight last Saturday night against Paulo Costa. You're going to fight me if I say Costa is and probably always has been overrated. He looks great. He's kind of funny. The secret sauce, the secret juice, all that stuff. He's 1-5 in his last 6 fights. He got beat up in his title fight. I'm not saying he sucks, but he ain't main event, pay-per-view, co-main event material.
I'm not gonna fight you on that because that was my point going into this fight. I thought it was the easiest bet of the night last week when everybody was saying, "Oh, I don't know, I don't know." I'm like, I don't know. I'm looking at his record. The last guy he knocked out was Uriah Hall. Before that was Johnny Hendricks, dude. Those are guys and fine fighters in their own right, but neither of them are in the UFC anymore. They were mentioned on the broadcast that they thought it was the Izzy fight that took it away. I'm with you. I just think he kind of is what he is. I think he's an explosive fighter. He's definitely dangerous. But I think if you have more skill as a striker, I think you think about the guys. He's not in the class of Robert Whittaker. He's not in the class of Sean Strickland. He's not in the class of Izzy Adesanya. I think that you can keep yourself at a safe distance and put a lot of damage on Paulo Costa. And that I can't believe, by the way, one person gave the fight to Paulo Costa. That was crazy. That judge needs to be put in handcuffs.
Worst scorecard. I say this a lot. That might be the worst scorecard I've ever seen, only because the other 2 judges clearly gave it to Sean Strickland. I think it was pretty clearly Sean Strickland. Let's go down that path for just a second. How frustrating is it as a fight fan that we keep putting it on these judges and Dana is asked afterwards and he says, look, I can't do anything about it. And it's the commissions themselves and all that stuff. Here's why it sucks. The fighters train, right? Dana tries to make the fights and the referee does his job 99% of the time. We don't really complain about that. And it always comes down to these judges. It's not like there's a pool of 200 judges. There's a few of these guys and gals out there. Why can't they get it right? And when they suck as bad as this one does, why don't they just go away? I hate talking about it.
I'm with you. I don't understand it because Dana has done this with referees before. Who was the dude? Mario Yamasaki. Am I getting his name right? And Dana White,
I think Dana has the power to do that. He can't do that with the judges because that's the commission.
Why not?
So I'm not blaming Dana.
So are refs though. No, but the refs are commissioned. He could. Dana definitely could do it. I don't know if I think that it's with judges. I think maybe they're a little bit more with the maybe they're more in the friendships of the commissions or whatnot. So maybe it's a little tougher. But I feel like he definitely could put a cancel list on some of these people.
As a fan, it's just frustrating because we watch. I'm being dead serious with what I'm about to say. You and I should be judges. If that guy's a judge. You and I know more about fighting. I know what a 10-8 looks like, right? I know when a guy wins a round. Sometimes I'm a little bit off compared to the other judges, but never that egregiously. So it's one of the things about the sport that I'm not the only one that loves the sport but gets frustrated all the time by the judges. And then afterwards, Dana just kind of throws his hands up. If he can do something, he should, honestly. Because
I'm too biased with my gambling to judge.
That's fine. That's because you're in Miami. Again, what is it? Shady people, hot place. That was great. Coming up next, we talk more fighting and we make more money. Brendan Tobin, Sports Machine Sean Levine, and you right here on the BetQL Network.